pro-gas and oil. They passed in the House, they go to the Senate, and they haven't been there yet, but they talk about lowering the tax on gas and oil companies from 6.6% to 4%, generally an encouragement, I would think. I don't speak for gas and oil, but generally an encouragement. And the other things talk about including carbon dioxide methods involved in some of these other gas and petroleum things. All, I think, we would loosely consider as being pro-industry if you're considered gas and oil. There was a bill introduced in the House last June trying to increase the distance from 450 to 1,000. That bill hasn't even had a hearing. The point I'm making is that a lot of this discussion is happening in Lansing, and a lot of this discussion where despite what happens here on a city council, and as we're trying to find small things that maybe we can nibble around the edges, if you have a state government that is pro this industry and that is passing larger issues at the state house and state senate, and you know both houses and the governor are all one party, those are things to watch, because those are really where the industry is getting its lead. As was mentioned by one of the council members, yeah, we know Ann Arbor has an ordinance that says you can't do it, and we've been told secondhand, I don't have an email, that it's because there's not gas and oil underneath Ann Arbor. They're not interested in that. They know their rights. They know that they have, these companies are shrewd. They're business people. They know where the product is at, and that's where they usually generally try to attack. There is one comment I want to address, Mr. Barker. Mr. Barker still here? Yeah, Mr. Barker. You made a couple comments, and I want to be exceptionally clear. You're respectful, and I want to be respectful, too. Certainly, under no circumstance did I ever invite folks in. And you quoted from some meeting minutes or an email. I think you quoted from an email that I said, you know, I asked for a proposal and I'm sure I didn't ask for this, but I asked probably for a PowerPoint, and you maybe said a sales pitch. Of course I did, because these folks probably met with me first. I don't choose who comes to meet with me. They set up a meeting. And I said, well, listen, if you want to do this, you're going to have to talk to them. And to do that, I'm going to need some kind of proposal and some kind of PowerPoint. We're not just going to put you in front of council without information. So what you identified is very much a normal, logical progression through how someone would ever get to come before city council. Well, of course, we'd want to see a proposal to know what kind of issues we have, and probably that proposal, I think you mentioned that those discussion was in May, was probably vetted by Mr. Starren, then went to, you know, has questions from Mr. Wackerman, who is our environmental attorney, not our environmental consultant on all things city. So, you know, it is challenging. I want you to understand as residents that the city council and the administration did not go out and seek Jordan Oil. We did not bring this to you. We did not encourage them to come here. We did not put any kind of sign out that said, hey, we think we've got oil, come here. Nothing could be further than the truth. They found us. They do seismic testing. They do different things. They've, you know, many of you know they've been here before. They were here in 2005 in a different area of town where they thought they might have some success, or 2006, something like that. And we are. The council, I think, is very studious, as we are. The transparency thing gets a little challenging because I have not, some of the flyers people have called me, and they've been the best thing that could have happened, because I've been able to spend 20 minutes with a resident and talk to them about things we can do and things we can do. If you leave here thinking that council can write an ordinance that can eliminate this problem from happening, then we haven't done a good job, because we have yet to see that be able to see that ordinance be able to be written and stick when challenged. That's the key, stick when challenged. Because when it is challenged, we haven't found a situation where it's won. And that's the thing we have to look at. That you can have ordinances all day. We have ordinances on the books from the 1800s that say you can't have 3 horses in your driveway. Great. But unless, you know, until someone challenges it, I mean, we never really look at it. And please don't quote me on that. I just sort of made that up. But I know we have them similar about chewing gum on sidewalks and things of that nature. So the point is this council is studious. They're listening to you. Your conversations and comments are not falling on deaf ears. I was on the phone today with Pete Auger from Auburn Hills. I said, Pete, has Jordan contacted you about a well site? No, he said that they haven't. That process, we know, takes several months, and we know, as I've discussed with you, that their plan is to drill a well in Auburn Hills first and determine whether or not they'll find anything there, and whether or not they decide to move east. I was on the phone today with Tom McMillan. He mentioned that he put in, it hasn't been written yet, but he put in the draft for his legislation. Again, we don't know if it will move, but he's at least putting in some legislation about requiring people when they come to the door to also provide a phone number to the MDEQ, a 1-800 phone number that would give the resident the ability to call the DEQ in an easy fashion to check information and to find things out. That was something that came from the meeting we had with several of your resident leaders, my administration, and the 2 representatives from the state. So a couple things. Number one, the council is listening. The council and the administration, the council is under regulations and some things that, despite your frustrations and level of concern, there are some things we can't regulate. We can't pass a regulation or an ordinance right now and says you can't go away because, as I mentioned, if challenged, we're in trouble. This council is doing its due diligence. I think they're continuing. Every bit of information you have is important, and we'll take it. But those are the things, I guess, that I wanted to share based on your conversation, and we welcome you to stay engaged in the process. I appreciate the conversation. We've been able to educate a lot of people along the way, and we'll continue to do that. So.